Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestlers Debate and another edition of Raw out of 10. And yeah, it turns out this is going to be the final edition of Raw in the year of 2022, with next week's show being a highlights package, so no Raw out of 10 from us. And yeah, it's a big show today because obviously a lot went down on SmackDown last week, and that's where we kind of started. Paul Heyman welcomed us to the show, and Roman Reigns took over and said Kevin Owens is going to need more than John Cena to beat him, and he's going to need the whole locker room. We then saw the Bloodline beat up Mr. Ferrari backstage before we headed to the ring, and that's kind of a constant theme throughout the show. But anyway, it's time for the Street Profits versus the Judgment Day. Priest and Paul kicked off the match. Street Profits were in control early on. Balor came in and got some big moves before we saw the Bloodline beating up Elias and some other stars backstage. Damian Priest got some the South of Heaven on Dawkins before taking him out on Balor, came back and got suplex and everything laid on forward. Akira Tozawa then came out and was about to splash a drink in Ripley's face, but she ducked and Dom got hit instead. The distraction allowed the Street Profits to get the finish on Balor for the win, but we weren't done then. Obviously everything there led to Akira Tozawa versus Rhea Ripley, yet one of those might be winning occasions. Ripley had a headlock early on before trying for the Riptide, but Sarah reversed it. Rhea then tried for a powerbomb next and Sarah reversed it into Hurricane Rana. Rhea was sent outside and Balor dragged Tozawa's feet from the apron, dropping in. The Street Profits then took Balor and Priest down at ringside, but Rhea got a one-handed powerbomb distraction from Dominic to pick up the win. So yeah, I mean, it's good entertaining start to Raw, I'd say 7 out of 10 from me. Good for Rhea to get a W, always entertaining this sort of stuff. And Jeff, one way to kick off the show. Backstage, the Bloodline attacked a bunch of superstars, including Dolph Ziggler, continuing on their path of destruction. Before it's time for the OC versus the Alpha Academy, the OC were in control early and isolated Gable in the ring. Otis then came in and got some big strikes before Gallo got sent him outside the ring with a shoulder tackle. The OC then tossed Gable outside and onto Otis before we headed for a break. Back on Raw, Gallows was in control of the ring, but Otis came back in and took him down with a clothesline. Gable then tried from ringside but missed before the OC got the Magic Killer on him and picked up the victory. And yeah, after the match the OC was celebrating when guess who, the Bloodline came out and attacked them. So yeah, get 6 out of 10 from me, kind of just filling into the Bloodline stuff, but the electrons and bad and did it show afterwards, so get 6 out of 10 from me. After the break, Adam Pearce was out with security to stop the Bloodline's trail of carnage. About bloody time, mate. But Zayn told him off before sending a warning to Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and they attacked the heels on the way out as the Bloodline retreated. Backstage, AJ Styles got asked for a match with Sami Uso and got it for later in the night. Before Alexa Bliss was backstage in an interview and said Bray Wyatt turned her into an evil version of herself. Bliss said that after she got therapy she thought she would be fine, but apparently Wyatt's return she was losing control again. Bianca was then about to talk to Wyatt, but Alexa got worked up and told her to focus on her instead. Near the end of the interview, Wyatt's Firefly logo then flashed on the screen. Alexa smashed Bianca in the head with a flower of ice shortly after knocking her out. And yeah, this is really good stuff, really intriguing stuff to see where this whole Bliss v Bianca stuff's going. Yeah, definitely a very interesting storyline now. But it's then time for Dex leave Miz versus the Miz in the ladder match to decide he gets the money. Loomis was in control early on, but the Miz hit him with a ladder on the outside and then tried to set him up in the ring. Loomis then hit him back with the same ladder before setting up in the corner and sending Miz face first into it. Dex then got a suplex before almost dropping the ladder on his crotch, but then got him on the second try. The two got on the top of the ladder, but Miz dropped the ladder, knocking off Loomis. Miz then hit neckbreaker on the apron before dropping the ladder on him to the outside. He then trailed Loomis between two halves of the ladder and drops another on top before piling chairs on top. Gargano then interfered and took a beat down at ringside before being driven over the barricades of the ladder. Loomis then somehow got back up and Miz hit a rock bottom on the ladders before almost sending him through the announcer's desk with a dive from the ladder. Loomis was then down with a risky move, but still managed to back on the ladder and drop to the Miz. Reed then came out and took Loomis down with a frog splash before helping Miz up the ladder to win the match. And yeah, it turns out that Bronson Reed and the Miz are a thing now, and Bronson Reed's return obviously been long rumored about. Was I feeling overly hyped for this? I can't say I was, really. But interested to see what happens with champion now. The Miz gets the win, he is chanting, so I guess it's an interesting storyline going forward, so it gets 6 out of 10. But yeah, I can't say I was massively enamoured by this, but I am intrigued by the future direction. It was then time for Sami Uso versus AJ Styles. Styles was in control early and got some big moves before Sami blocked the phenomenal forearm and dropped him on the right. Sami then beat him down in the ring before taking a neck breaker. Sami blocked the forearm once more before he headed for a break. Back on Raw, Sami got a near fall off a brainbuster before AJ locked in a calf crusher. Solo's Kerr then came out ringside before getting into a brawl with AJ. Sami joined in and stretched the ref while Solo got the smaller cycle on the 4-on-1, allowing Zayn to pick up the win. And Jack gets 7 out of 10 from me. Good stuff. The Bloodline numbers game once again, allowing them to pick up the victory, and Sami Zayn, his momentum keeps going, and obviously we all know where it's going, but yeah, for this night it kind of worked perfectly in the context of the whole thing, so for me it has to get a 7 out of 10. Seth Rollins was out next on Raw, and bragged about the Bloodline didn't attack him since they were scared. Austin Theory then came out next and bragged about being a champ, before Seth noted that Theory had grown up after being the champ. Theory called Rollins washed, but Seth said he was the mountaintop. He tried to stop Theory, to get Theory to fight him, but the Bloodline showed up before Theory ran out. With his title, Rollins was left alone, and the Usos were beating down him before Kevin Owens showed up to make the save. The Usos retreated before Seth Rollins booked a match with them later in the night. And yeah, that's our main event set. And yeah, with the Usos and just Bloodline in general, kind of trailer distraction. I think this is kind of always going to be something like this with an inevitable main event. But there we go. It was then time for Becky Lynch versus Bayley. Lynch got a big takedown early on before Damage Control won a stretch from the apron, letting Bayley take control. Bayley got a clothesline before Becky hit back with a reverse DDT for a near fall. Lynch then went for a leg drop, but it was countered. She then hit the Bayley's belly. To Lynch, who somehow kicked out. Bayley then rolled Becky with her feet on the rope, but the ref caught her. Becky got the manhandle slam on Bayley, but Dakota Kai dragged her outside before she could get the pin. Becky was distracted by Damage Control when Bayley attacked her from behind with a monitor. Bayley followed out with a raised plant in the ring and picked up the win. And yeah, good win for Bayley. I mean, gives her some serious momentum. She kind of needed it as well after the few losses to Bianca she'd had. So yeah, big win for her. I don't think it will affect Becky so much. And yeah, just on her, a really, really good match, of course it was. It's then time for Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. A brawl broke out between the two teams right off the bat, and after the bell, Rollins and Jay were in the ring to start the match. The Usos took a beating early, with Rollins getting a super kick on Jimmy and a double crossbody on both Usos. Owens came in with a swanton bomb, but Jimmy got his knees up, so does Curlin showed up at ringside as well before the OC joined them. Rollins got a stomp on Jay and sent him to the floor before Theory took Rollins out with the title belt. In the ring, Jimmy got a near fall off a super kick before Owens got the pop-out powerbomb for the win, and after the match, Owens was celebrating. Sammy was going to go up attacking him. Owens spots him, and yeah, layering seeds. But on the whole, a fun main event. Not a big fan of the tag team champions getting beaten, but you know, I guess it kind of makes sense in this context. And Jericho is a really good match with intriguing storylines afterwards, so 7 out of 10. But overall, Raw this week gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Yeah, I thought it was a really solid episode of Raw this week. You know, lots of really good matches on there, really good storylines as well. And for me, I thought for the last episode of 2022, it was very solid, as a lot of it has been really since Triple H took over, so 7 out of 10. But anyway, guys, that's every video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, lots of comments down below. Follow the show for daily wrestling news and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out. So.